Hello, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While, a show in which I chat with heart-centered, authentic experts about really interesting topics to spark, inspire, and motivate both personal and professional change. And today's topic is accessing the power of creativity to eliminate struggle and make life easier. This conversation is worth your while because you recognize that you've got to unlock a different part of your brain, that creative part, to solve the problems that your logical mind is not able to solve. So Albert Einstein said that we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. And today we're going to share with you a secret weapon for accessing the power of your creativity so that you can eliminate struggle and make life so much easier. I know you're intrigued. I'm your host, Linda Bucher. I am a speaker. I'm a certified master life coach, a show host, an author, a bunch of other stuff. And I'm here because I know that we have unique gifts to share, each of us, with the world. You are here to make big, beautiful ripples that no one else can make. My gift and my purpose is helping you to make a splash. One of the ways that I make a splash is this show. It's so much fun. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Gary Grundei. He is the founder of Golden Lotus Studio, an online home for songwriters. And Gary is making positive ripples in such a unique way. I can't wait to talk with him about this and have you listen. Gary helps people to get unstuck and unleash their creativity through music. So, hi, Gary. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi, Linda. Thanks for having me. It's such a treat. I always enjoy talking with you.
Thank you. I do too. I enjoy our conversation so much. So tell the audience a little bit more about, what you do, who you serve, how you're making these ripples.
Yeah, absolutely. I am passionate about music, obviously. If you're seeing the visual, you're seeing my instruments behind me. So I am passionate about helping people unleash their creativity, as you said, through music. And that happens a number of ways, in particular through songwriting. Like basically my people are, if you listening right now, watching right now, are not writing a song and you want to be writing a song, you're my people. I am here to just sit next to you, show you how easy, fun, and transformational it can be. And I just have had this experience of having studied music my whole life and been a professional musician in all these incredible, I feel so honored for the settings I've been able to do and make music in. But my passion has always been in songs. Like that's where it really started for me, and I think a lot of us are there. Like we know the transformational power of music, and yeah, and I'm here to help people connect with that. I can go on and on about this, but
well, I'm probably going to let you as we talk through things today. All right, so let's just start with the struggle. Let's start with this rigid part of our mind that we have a problem, we get stuck, and we think logically is the way we got to solve this problem. But I mentioned that Albert Einstein quote where, we create problems for ourselves. I definitely say this to people all the time: you create your own hell. It's true. And so we have a lot of struggles that are mindset related, and a lot of struggles that happen because we're not accessing that creative power that we have within us. We've all had our own personal struggles as well, in life. And I don't know if you have something you want to share about, how you use creativity to get past a struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this question. It's like I'll start with just like a little bit of my songwriting journey, because I had all this knowledge, quote unquote, musical knowledge, and I'd sit down and try and write a song and I would just get stuck. I wanted to write songs like some of my favorite artists, and I would just get stuck and I'd be like, oh, this is no good. And I'd allotted all this time to sit down and do it. Or maybe I got one line that was good, but it would just get shut down time after time after time and year after year after year, if I'm being honest, like for a long time. And the key for me at one point was to I sort of had a realization that even my favorite songwriters of all time, let's just take Paul Simon or Billy Joel as an example. I grew up on that stuff, right? And I would think, well, Billy Joel's first song probably wasn't very good, like, okay, they gave me a little bit of permission. So I gave myself a little more permission. I'm just going to finish this song, whether it's any good or not. And once I did, it was just a breakthrough. That plus having a little bit of support, I shared it with somebody else who said a couple kind words about it. It was a complete breakthrough. And I've just been I've been composing music, before that. But this idea of writing a song was elusive. It was stuck. It was a problem, right? It was a struggle. And so once that broke through, I realized, oh, this way of working, some of these things I've learned in doing this are suddenly accessible to many other areas. And so I not only got proficient at just writing, as I'm very prolific in writing songs now. I write one a week at least. And the techniques I learned through that, overcoming that struggle, apply to any area of my life, is what I've found. This critical mind shuts down. This mind that's under any kind of stress, really stressed out, feeling scarcity, feeling like we can't, just put the word can't in front of anything.
Yeah.
Can't anything.
Yeah.
Is not a mind that can see possibilities, is not a mind that can really be flexible and connect into, well, I wouldn't say that there's a power in creativity. There's like something, whether you want to think it's your subconscious mind or the unmanifest or a higher power or something, but that's available when we're in a creative state. That's not available when we are shut down and in struggle. And so for me personally, like I've got, I'm thinking of one particular client who's a head of a major organization, and she took a bunch of my songwriting classes and was like, you know what? As soon as I start to take this seriously and think of like, oh, I'm going to like have a career as a songwriter, it starts to get a little bit more stressful and starts to lock down again. But so she names it a hobby. So she does this thing just for a hobby and makes the most extraordinary stuff. And again, applicable to all areas of life,
I love that, Gary. That's a quick little golden nugget there. To think of something like a hobby, because then you're not putting so much pressure on yourself that it has to be perfect. And that pressure of perfection, like I have to write my number one hit, right? Or for anything that you're doing in life. Nobody ever starts that way. The whole 10,000 hours to become an expert, but then as soon as you get in your head, all that expertise goes out the window because you're in your head, you're judging yourself, you're trying to make it all perfect. I succumb to this because coaches are people too. And it happens. And we've got to recognize, that we are in our own way, that critical judgmental part of us is totally our enemy. It's the enemy of creativity. It's the enemy of ease. It's the enemy of flow. And all of us know what it feels like to be in flow. It's just flowing. And just to remember that feeling of flow is a really quick way to get there. Just like, remember the last time you felt in flow? How did that feel? Just going to invoke that feeling right in this moment. And it really does help us to move through struggle and get into a different mindset. I remember I used to blog. I don't blog now because it feels like a chore, right? So I have given up. It's not flow. Like, what's flow? I do podcasting, total flow, talking to really cool people, learning great stuff. I love that. But I used to blog and write because that's what coaches were supposed to do, have a blog on their website. And I would write some really good blogs. And my first blog had 17 of them. They're not out there anymore, but I still have them. I called them my mosaic.
Oh, nice.
So like a mosaic, but a mosaic.
Yeah.
And what it was is there's so many facets to the things I wanted to teach through my blog. And so the facets were like the mosaic of it. Like it's like all these different things. But the reason I called it a mosaic is because I blogged to lyrics of songs. It was so cool and so creative.
Yes.
And I absolutely loved it. And I was churning out one a week. And then eventually I was churning out one every other week, and then one every 3 weeks, then one every month, because eventually it started feeling like a chore. But in that moment, I just did it. I just rode the wave for as long as it felt like, this is something to do. So I used music in a super cool, creative way to do something that I didn't want to do, which was blog. So it was like a really cool little creative way to do things. And I remember I had songs like Ill Street Blues. Ill Street Blues, that's called the name of the song. I forgot who sings it. I had, my very first one was Michael Franti, Soul Shine, because I felt so shiny on the inside. I was like, got to blog to that one. I had a Luscious Jackson song I blogged to. I had a Jimmy Cliff. I can see clearly now. Like it was just like really cool, different things that were some things that I had evolved through that I wanted to share. And I thought, let me share them through music.
That's brilliant, Linda.
Really cool. Yeah. I should
like
publish those again.
Yeah, I want to go check that out now. The word inspiration, is about like breathing in, but like hearing you talk about that's exactly what you were doing. That's exactly what I feel when I hear you talking about it. It's like taking inspiration from something else, some beautiful, uplifting. Most of the things you're talking about are bright lights in the world, Michael Franti's, the Jimmy Cliff. Like it's just like, whoa, how can I take a little bit of that light and bring it in? And the other thing that makes me think of is, do you know about eustress? Have you heard that concept?
No.
It's EUSTRESS. It's this idea of there's a kind of stress that is talked about in some of these psychological sciences that is positive. And I think it's a bit of a dance with us. But when we get excited about something, like just thinking about you talking about your blog, I don't know if this was your experience, but if I were in your shoes, I would imagine like, ooh, I got a really cool idea how to organize this blog. I already got the next 5 planned. I'm excited. I actually kind of want to stay up late working on this, Yeah. That's eustress. That's like I want to like overachieve and kind of work hard, but I'm having a blast doing it, And so I'm always looking for games and tricks and things to do to like get us more into that area of like we're having fun, it's playful, we're engaging our child self, we're laughing, it's ridiculous sometimes, like there's something ridiculous about that idea and brilliant about your idea about the blog, right? It's like, is that what you learned in business school, is to do a blog about, right? No, it's creative and it's exciting, and that's where we can access possibilities again. We talk about that stuckness. It's like the struggle. It's because the stakes feel so high, and it feels like I need right now to come up with one solution that's going to solve everything. And there may be a truth to that, depending upon what your situation is. And yet, in that moment, in that mindset, the solution is not available to you.
No.
You need to find a way, some tricks to get like 10 minutes of a different kind of mindset, where you take the stakes away, you take the need to, have to, the stress, all that away, you get into a different body mindset, you get into a receptivity, and then you're gonna have 7 bad ideas and maybe one that's like genius,
Yeah. And I've used music in lots of different ways. We have Sonos wired throughout our house, even in the bathrooms, because music is always playing around here for sure. And sometimes when I feel stuck in what I'm doing, maybe I'm creating something or I'm writing something or whatever for, my coaching practice, I will just get up and go sit at that piano and just play. And I don't say I'm going to play the piano. I say I'm going to play on the piano. I'm playing with the piano. We're having playtime. It's like fun playtime. I've always been an improviser. I've probably only I took a composition class when I was young, like 12, because I was always an improviser. And so my mom enrolled me into one of those at the community music school in downtown Buffalo. So that's where I learned about structure, things like that, which was so interesting, because then when rap music came along, I was like, wait, there's no structure. There's all part A. Where's the B? Where's the C? Where's the bridge? Where's the whatever? It's so funny to, be critical of it in that way, even though I love the beats for sure. And so sometimes I just play. And I'll do that so that I can do something cerebral afterwards, because I can feel that locking up where I can't find the right words. Maybe I'm writing a description for a workshop that I'm going to be giving, or a talk, or a keynote or whatever, and I'm all stuck, So I'm like, just go do something else, right? Some people go take a walk in nature. I go sit and play my piano, or just play on YouTube and find some new music and just go down that rabbit hole of following other artists like, what? So it's really magical. I think everyone has experienced the magic of music at some point in their life, and probably lots of ways. So music is very profound as a pathway to creativity. So tell us a little bit more about maybe some experiences your clients have had about unlocking other parts of their life through music. Because we're not speaking just to musicians in this episode. This episode is about, you can use music lots of different ways, but guess what? You do have a song in you. Yes, you do. Right?
Yeah. In the first day of a lot of my classes, I'll give this assignment that is, I just ask them that imagine that there's a visitor from another planet where there isn't music. There's no music, and you have to explain in words, what is music? What does it do? Why music? What do you care about? And the answers are extraordinary. You could sort of imagine, if you were to answer for yourself, like it puts heartbeats in similar vibration. It communicates an internal landscape to total strangers using only sound waves, air compression and decompression. It uplifts the spirit. Like people talk about from any different perspective. And I love doing that exercise because I get new answers every time. And every single one of the answers, you'd go, if this was a drug, I would take it regardless of what the side effects are. If this was like a timeshare, I'm in, I'll buy it. Music, we take it for granted what music does. Like I've met people who don't like, a certain popular band like the Beatles or something, right? Or don't like Beethoven in the classical realm. Like Beethoven's the best, Just like, but I've never met anybody who doesn't like music, It's just, it is a universal language, and it does transform culture and all these things. So the power there, I feel like, when they talk about we've only tapped a small part of the potential of the human brain, I feel that way about music. Like when we think about, and specifically song even, because song takes words and conveys, anything, emotion, story, transcendent teaching, all this stuff through music. It carries the words on music. And there are as many unique expressions of that as there are humans. And so, I don't know, like we play all these creative games, writing music. And the biggest thing for me is like, I feel like so much of what we do or so much of what I've kind of developed in my curricula and been taught generously by my mentors is that when we can fully get into this state of not attaching to outcome, you're allowed to write the worst stuff or just have the worst ideas possible. Moving forward no matter what, getting out of your own way, and just ignoring when the critical thoughts come up. That is a skill that we get better at the more we do it. But in the beginning, it's just like, that analogy of a puppy who's potty training, like you just put it over here, right? Just until you learn to do this, you're going to just go over here. So just like, critic, okay, thank you right now. I'm just going to come back and write some more, words over here. Those tips, tricks, loopholes, like all these games that we do, they work, and they allow us to stay and access in quicker time that creative mind, that positive forward motion, that problem solving, that vast landscape of everything's possible. And recognize that when the critic or the struggle or the stress or the claustrophobic feels coming back in, we can just go, okay, I can recognize that, and if I want to be solving a problem right now or doing something positive, proactive, I need to just set that aside using one of these 100 other techniques,
Mm-hmm.
And just as an example for myself, and I've done this with like coaching people in songwriting careers or helping people access like what is their marketing plan to release their album, or these kinds of things, is like I'll just give the example for myself. Like if I know I want to be of service in particular ways, I know I have certain strengths and talents, I know who my clientele is, what's the product, what am I offering them? Okay, well then I gotta like brainstorm on a yellow pad like 3 pages worth of bad ideas, like too many ideas of what are all the products I could offer. And I make myself do that. I either set a timer or I set like pages, like 3 pages. Like, oh, that is just too many ideas. We just know that like 90% of these ideas are either going to be dumb, like
Right.
inappropriate, absurd, something. You have to get out of like our usual thinking to do that. But if you promise you're going to do it, and take a break, go have a cup of tea, come sit back down, take a look at that pad, maybe wait till tomorrow, take a look at that pad, and you go, oh, you know what? Like those 5 things, that might be actually the right, oh my God, that's exciting. Ooh, I'm excited about that. I got chills looking at that one, and we can do that when it comes to like a problem with our teams at work. We can come with time management, like whatever the struggle is. Once you kind of have this muscle of how to get the creativity going, you can access it anytime to work with any issue.
Yeah, that's a very beautiful thing. And it's a really important thing for people to know. We all have that lizard brain, that part of us that's trying to keep us safe. So it wants us to have, wear these boots made out of fear and stay totally stuck, right? If we can stay stuck, at least it's known. It feels safe to be stuck for us, because it's a known entity. We know what it's like. If we have to go out on a limb and try something like writing a song, right? Something like going out and giving a keynote. We have to do something that's like, right? Isn't it easier to just stay stuck, because then we have an excuse? Oh, I can't do that. I'm too stuck. So we can stay stuck because it makes us try to feel safe. And that's that part of our lizard brain that's trying to keep us safe. We're trying to help people, me and you, to get into a new mindset, a new state of mind, a different state of mind, where the beliefs that are causing the fear, because unless you're actually being like eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, right? Most of us are pretty safe in this moment. I know there are situations that are, but for the most part, most of us are experiencing fear of, oh, I can't get out there and do this thing. Is because we have a belief that it's not safe to do that. We've got our own worst critics, which you brought up beautifully, is that we cannot solve problems when we're being self-critical, not at all. And we're afraid of the outside critics because we inherently want to be not judged. We want to be loved. We want to be accepted. That's why people are walking around being people pleasers all the time, which is a whole nother conversation. And what happens is in that trying to stay safe is what keeps us out of that realm of possibility. So if we can recognize that it's just a stream of thinking that is causing us to stay stuck, and we can physically and emotionally and mentally move into this new space of creativity, it's really not as hard as it sounds. But like you said, it takes some practice. We've got to get into the practice of doing this. I like to, when I created this tool that I give in one of my keynotes, and it's called the belief continuum. So on this continuum of belief, at one end, it's impossible. It's impossible for me to solve this problem. It's impossible for me to write a song. It's impossible for me to have this relationship turn around, right? Whatever, the impossible. Also at that end of that continuum is, when pigs fly, not bloody likely, that's all down there. Somewhere in the middle of the continuum, you get to possible. But what happens on the way there, it's like a very dark hallway, a very, very dark hallway. And there's no windows, and it's not even possible. It's nothing possible. There's nowhere to go, right? So it's very difficult to get to this place of possibility. But as soon as you get to possible, there's a window in the hallway. Now you can look out that window and you can say, has anybody ever done this ever? If the answer is yes, then it's possible. Okay. Then you can move along to the next window and look out and say, have I ever done anything like this in some other way, even if it was small, right? So have I ever, like, maybe I didn't go out on a big giant limb, but did I go on out on a little limb once? Did I get through this feeling unsafe and try something new, right? Did I try that? And if the answer is yes, then you can move a little bit further down this belief continuum. As you move down this hallway, the windows get bigger and bigger, and then eventually there's doors. And at the very, very end, it's wide open. There's not even an end, it's just wide open. And what the words that go down that end of the continuum are like, probable, likely, right? Inevitable, but that's not even it. You know what the very end is? It's already done. And that's the belief. It's already done. This song is already written. This creative part of my mind has already solved this problem. The solution's already solved. Right? That just energetically, when I say it's already done, I just feel like, ooh, there's that flow sense, it's already done.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful tool.
It's a great tool. I love that. Thanks for sharing it with me. It's like that fear state. I think about these games we play in songwriting because it's just songwriting. It's not brain surgery. Like you write a bad song, nobody dies. It's all good. Right? And what's more is nobody even has to ever hear it. You don't even have to suffer the embarrassment of somebody hearing it. You just spend 75 minutes, writing a song, and maybe it was just good practice, to get out of your, but what we do is like, I try to just practice pushing the fear off a little bit, like this Friday afternoon songwriting club, we do songs in 75 minutes. And I just tell them, like, you do not have to share any of the song with anybody. It does not have to be any good. We're all muted on Zoom. And, but at the end of it, just tell me you're going to finish it and put a title on it, and then you could either like delete it or put it in a drawer where you look at it later, or something like that. Or you might decide, actually, this is going really well. I want to work on it more, or it's done, or, I can't wait to submit this to a contest, or I want to put this into production and record this. But the like low stakes of, being able to set the fear aside, as you said, like to get to what's possible, and then to like the great inevitability of all, it's already happened. This song's already in the room. There's a song here, and your job is just to bring it forth. It's that simple.
Very beautiful, very beautiful. So here's what I'd like to leave our audience with today. Some three couple things that I pull out of our conversation, and then if there's anything you want to add to it, I would love it. So let the bad ideas flow. Let them come out. It's kind of like the smorgasbord, the plate that comes up, you take that plate off, another one comes up, take that plate off, and then all of a sudden the golden plate's there. Woo! Right? So ideas, when you're using our creativity, just let it all come out. Just play. That's it. You're just playing. So basically lower the stakes by doing that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
and what's more is if I can, yes. And if I could even add one other thing in there, just like the idea of throwing some bad ideas in there on purpose, like just if you're one of those people who like needs to have it be perfect or right or good, just throw some bad ones in there just to practice doing that. Make them deliberately bad. It frees you up, right?
It does. And actually, there's a tool I use with my clients to solve a problem. It's a creativity tool. And I learned this from my mentor, Martha Beck. And it's called the illegal immoral tool. And we're trying to solve an issue, a problem. I have my clients come up with 10 ideas of how to solve it. And each idea has to either be illegal, immoral, or both. Okay. Right.
Love it.
So like, all right, I need more money. Like, okay, become a prostitute, right? Like, rob a bank, borrow money from my cousin and never pay it back. Like, however they got to think about it, it's really a beautiful tool because it takes the fences down it has to be a good idea. That's what it does. It takes those fences down. So it's just like what you're saying here. Throw some bad stuff in there, right? Write some bad chords, throw something totally atonal in there, make it suck, label it, sucky song opus 214, right? So something like that, but we want to remove the fences. So creative tools help us remove the fences so that we can come to a better solution. So using this tool, when we're all done, we've got 10 ideas that are legal and immoral. Then I take them back and we find the legal and morally acceptable counterpart to each one of those 10 ideas. And it's like, what? I never thought of this. I know, because we had the fence up, so we've taken those fences down. There's no limitations. You can be illegal, immoral, whatever. So that's just another tool that, we can use that helps us get into it's a creative problem solving tool. So yeah.
Love it. 100%.
Yeah. Beautiful. Oh, Gary, this has been such a fabulous conversation. It's very exciting I love hanging out with you. I always have a good time.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So, all right. So, like, what if someone wanted to contact you? Like, what could they do with you, or can they contact you, or what do you have for them?
Yeah, absolutely. You can check out, there's a bunch of free stuff on goldenlotusstudio.com, including you can sign up for a free 15-minute consultation with me. And there's also a book there, an ebook, 64 tips and tricks. You can access it there or at freesongwritingpdf.com. I would just love to support folks in any way I can to unleash that next great possibility in your life. Yeah,
I think that's beautiful. Well, I will put the links that you're sharing with us into the show notes so that the listeners and watchers can go right in there and click on those. And I just want to say thank you so very much for sharing your insights and experience and enthusiasm, because I love that, with me and with our audience today, Gary.
It's my treat. Thanks so much for having me, Linda. You're amazing, and I get so much from these chats, so thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, everyone, that is our show. I'd like to thank Gary Grundei, the founder of Golden Lotus Studio and the online home for songwriters. So I'd like to thank Gary for being with us today, and I'd like to thank you, devoted listener, for sharing your time with us today. Once again, I'm Linda Bucher, helping smart, heart-centered people to make a splash that ripples positively in the world. And until next time, please subscribe. And most importantly, make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.